Hey guys, so I wanted to do a quick product review as well as a project video. I made a picture frame using pocket holes. You know, and I've done a lot of projects over the years using pocket holes, but I really don't ever go into sort of depth of how I've used them, or really even talk a lot about the jig that I use for that. So I wanted to talk about the Kreg K5 as well as talk about some other pocket hole jigs that I use. The K4, the Junior. So coming up in the video, I'm going to show you, which products I've used, which ones I like, and sort of go into a little bit more depth about how to use that. And as a bonus, I'll show you how I made this picture frame. It's very easy. So stick around for the video, and as always, be sure to check out my website out at woodlogger.com. So first up, I've got the Kreg Junior, and honestly, this is a jig that I've only used maybe a couple of times whenever I've, finished a complete project. I'm actually in the process of assembling it, and I missed, a spot where I needed a pocket hole, and I didn't put it there. So rather than take the whole piece apart, I can take this, I can attach this to my piece that I'm working on, take a clamp, secure this, drill my pocket hole in, and then I can finish up my project. Again, I've only used this a couple of times. This, I believe, came with my Kreg K4 Master System, but you can buy these separately as well. Next up, I've got the Kreg R3 jig, and this was the first jig that I ever purchased. I really like this one, and I used this one for quite a while, for a couple of years actually, and in theory, this is the only thing you would ever need to do pretty much all of the pocket holes that that I can think of anyhow. And I sort of did do that. What I will say is that it takes a lot longer to do that. You take a clamp. It does have a nice adapter here that uses Kreg clamps. You can secure your workpiece to it, and then you can very quickly drill your pocket holes. It's got a lot of nice advantages to it. It's very portable, it's very light. You adjust the sort of side guides to your workpiece, and you can very quickly drill holes with it. Although I can't imagine using this for a very large project or even a medium-sized project, because I just think it just takes too long. Next up, I've got the Kreg K4 Jig, and I've had this one for quite a few years now. I really like it. I made a lot of projects with it. It's got a lot of good things going for it. One of the things I like is that you can very quickly attach this to your workbench with a clamp. You take your clamp and you sort of slide it on there and it secures it down. The back is very easy to adjust for different size wood pieces that you're going to use. You lock it down there, and then you can very quickly drill out your pocket holes. It's also got a nice little feature here where it'll store your drill bits. And I really like this one. The K4 is still, at least at the time of this video when I shot it, is still very popular. You see it in a lot of the big box stores. Next up is the Kreg K5 system. The K5 is an update to the K4 system. There are definitely some changes to this, some that I like, some that I don't like. Probably the most noticeable thing is that they moved this lever that was on the K4 from the back to the front. It does kind of make it a little bit nicer when you're trying to secure it, especially when you're doing repetitive pieces. You can very quickly lock that down. One of the things I don't like about it though is that you lose the ability to clamp this to a work table. I thought that was a really nice feature on the K4. It allowed you to get set up very quickly. This, I think you would have to sort of mount to a workbench, or come up with some way to sort of secure this down or lock it down on your workbench. Just adds an extra step. Not that big a deal. I think I've just gotten used to the K4 over the years. Also includes a dust chute, which makes it nice to get the dust out. And another nice feature is that they've included these accessory boxes. There's 2 of them, and they attach on each side. What's nice about that is if you're doing lots of repetitive pocket holes and you've got a larger wood piece, a giant piece of plywood, for example, these kind of help steady the piece for you so that you don't have to sort of create something or figure out some way to balance your workpiece. It also has storage space for extra bits and other accessories. To get started with the setup of my Kreg jig, I only need to know a few things. I need to know the board thickness, and in my case I've got a 3/4 inch width board. So I can drop this in, line it up on the line of the board thickness. That's all set. Next up, I can use this little handy dandy guide for the length of the screw that I'm going to be using. I've got 1 1/4 inch screws that I'm going to be using, And so I can take this and set it right in front, drop my drill bit in, line it up with the guide, drop my stop collar right on top of it, tighten that down, maybe. There we go. Tighten that down, and I'm all good to go there. One of the nice things too about the K5 is that they include a little stop block that you can drop on, secure it there, and if you got repetitive holes that you need to drill out, this certainly is a time saver. For the 4 boards that I'm going to be cutting, I'm not going to need that. Okay, so I'm about ready to drill my holes into my boards. I wanted to take a second though and talk about that because it can be a little confusing when you're first getting started on where to place the holes on your boards. And so what you want to do is you want to kind of drill your holes with the grain. So I've already drilled one here, and as you can see, it's kind of going with the grain here, and that will be inserted, and the board will actually go across here. And the reason for that is because you want to attach, you want to be able to have the screw kind of dig into sort of the meat of the board going across cut. If you go into the inside of the grain, it just doesn't have a whole lot to grab onto. So it's, you know, it's always best. There has been one case where I had to do that, and it worked out fine. I actually reinforced it with glue. But as you know, as much as possible, you want to be able to kind of have the board attached across into the grain like so. So I'm about ready to start attaching my boards together. I wanted to stop and talk for just a second though, and point out that the Kreg has a couple different types of screws that are available. One is a coarse, which is designed for your softwoods, your pine, or even like plywood. So you would use that. In my case, since I've got oak boards here, I'm going to use more of a fine screw, and that's what that's designed for. Also with your kit, you're going to get this hex bit that comes with it that's designed for the screws that Kreg sells. And if you're going to use a power screwdriver, make sure that you adjust your torque to one of the lowest settings there. Otherwise, you can really strip your screw out and kind of mess your piece up. One more note, before you attach the holes that you've drilled out on your pocket holes to the boards, if you're going to attach like this, you really are going to want to clamp that down. Kreg sells some clamps that are great. They've got these very wide pads. And when you get ready to clamp it down to your workbench, make sure that you get both sides and that you clamp it down really tight. If you don't do that, what can happen sometimes is that one of these boards will just lift very slightly, and when you get ready to join your boards together, they're not flush. Another type of clamp that Kreg sells is this one that allows you to take one end and insert it into the pocket hole. And what's nice about that is if you're trying to, you know, in my example, in my frame, I'm attaching boards like this. But what if you have a situation where you want to flip a board or you've got kind of a crazy angle? Well, that's where this kind of clamp comes in real handy. So Kreg sells these as well. Definitely pick one of these up if you think you're going to do a lot of these. Okay, so my frame is coming along pretty nicely. You can see the front of it looks pretty good. On the back side of it though, you got these ugly pocket holes. Now normally for most pocket hole projects, you'll put them in places that are kind of hidden underneath, maybe in areas that you don't really care if they're exposed. On this frame, I kind of want to clean that up so that if you look at the back side of it, you don't see this. So what Kreg offers are these pocket hole plugs, and they come in various species of wood. I've got oak ones here because that's the timber that I'm using. And what you do is you just add a little bit of glue, you slide the plug in like so, and then to clean that off, you either plane or just sand it down so that it's smooth. To finish off my frame, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch rabbet bit on my router. I'll go all the way around on the inside and I'll put it to the depth of a piece of hardwood and a piece of plexiglass that I've already cut. It'll sit in there pretty nicely. To clean up the corners, I'll use the chisel to just kind of smooth that out, and then I think my frame will be just about done. wraps up my Kreg review as well as the picture frame photo project. I did sand this and put some shellac on it and install these little button tabs that you see in the back. Last step is to install the plexiglass and some backing or hardboard on the back, and stick a picture in there. So I'll put more detailed information about the rest of these steps, as well as more information about the Kreg products that I really enjoy. And I'll stick all that out on woodlogger.com.